The year is 1916. Apperson would introduce a V8 of their very own to compete with all of the other companies that offered a V8 in the early teens. Companies like, but not limited to, Cadillac, Cole, Faro, King. But before getting into the Apperson V8, Apperson was found by brothers Edgar and Elmer Apperson right after they left Haynes Apperson, which was also based in Kokomo, Indiana, was in business from 1893 until 1905 as Haynes Apperson. The brothers would make a lot of money and would break off and do their own company. Haynes would remove Apperson from the name in 1905 and would just be known as Haynes Automobile Company after 1905. Anyway, Apperson was founded in 1901, Kokomo, Indiana, and would build sophisticated, high-quality, high-end cars. Apperson had electric lights, four-speed transmission, steel frame, cellular radiators in 1904. It's also important to note that Apperson used horizontally opposed engines in the very beginning, starting off with a two-cylinder and then going to a four-cylinder Boxster-style engine. Apperson would build cars from 1902 through 1926. Their most famous car was the Jackrabbit, which would come in 1907. Apperson was involved in automotive racing, but they never won at any big events. The 1908 Jackrabbit was advertised as being the fastest car of its relatable horsepower, promising 75 miles per hour from a 55 horsepower engine. It came with a staggering price tag of $5,000 in 1908, which would be equivalent to you spending $171,556.52 in the year 2024. They would up the ante 1 year later with their new model called Big Dick. No, really, that's what the name of the model was. It was more of a track model that could be ordered from the factory, and they claimed 90 miles per hour top speed. Apperson would offer opposing two-cylinder and four-cylinder configurations, as well as vertical 4 and vertical 6 configurations under hood to power their cars, until 1916, offering an all-new to them cylinder configuration, the V8, and was advertised as the 8-cylinder with 80 less parts. Essentially, two blocks of 4 attached to a single aluminum alloy crankcase with upper and lower halves. The blocks are set at 90-degree bank angle. The valves run right next to the pistons inside the block and are positioned above the pistons inside the cylinder block. Not on top, it's not an overhead valve engine, but the valves are inside the block. The engine is lubricated by force feed from a pump gear located in the lower half of the crankcase. The pump sends oil to the main crankshaft bearings, flows through the crankshaft, which is hollow, to the connecting rod bearings, and then goes into a tube that runs alongside the connecting rod to the piston pin bearings. Updraft carburetor in center with intake that goes over the exhaust manifolds, which exit on the inside of the cylinder blocks inside the V-valley. Single belt which drives fan and generator, which is directly behind the fan, coupled to a fan shaft. Cooling this engine was achieved by thermosiphoning. This engine used timing gears. The Apperson V8 came in 3 different displacements, starting with the smallest displacement, 314 cubic inch displacement L-head V8 5.1 liters, which is the same displacement as the original Cadillac V8. It was good for anywhere between 38 to 50 horsepower at 2400 RPM with an estimated 109 pound-feet or 147 newton meters around 1000 RPM with a bore of 3.125 inches and a stroke of 5.125 inches. Years this engine was used. This engine was available in 1916, and when they stopped producing it is inconclusive. Moving on to the middle displacement of 331.8 cubic inch displacement L-head V8 5.4 liters. It was good for anywhere between 50 to 70 horsepower at 2400 RPM, estimated 153 pound-feet or 207 newton meters around 1000 RPM with a bore of 3.25 inches and a stroke of 5 inches. This engine seemed to be the bread and butter engine for Apperson. Moving on to the biggest and baddest engine, and I don't even know if they really made this engine. I was just going off the bore and stroke sizes made from this chart. But this one has 441.79 cubic inch displacement, L-head V8 7.2 liters. It was good for anywhere between 50 to 70 horsepower at 2,400 RPM with an estimated 153 pound-feet or 207 Newton meters around 1,000 RPM. Bore of 3.75 inches in a stroke of 5 inches. Years this engine was used, 1917. On March 27th of 1920, Elmer Apperson, one of the founding brothers, would die unexpectedly of a heart attack at age 58. He was attending an automobile race in Los Angeles, California. By 1924, both Apperson and Haynes were both hemorrhaging money pretty badly, and there was a rumor that they were going to reform Haynes Apperson, but that never really came to fruition. Their V8 engine would ultimately get replaced by a straightaway Lycoming inline 8-cylinder engine, and Apperson would ultimately go out of business in 1926, right after the introduction of their 4-wheel brake model. If you have any insight or information to add to this story, maybe there are more engine displacements. These are the only 3 that I could find. Please comment in the comment section below with whatever information you have pertaining to Apperson. All right, now it's time for Would You Rather. 2 scenarios today, all with early V8s. But which one would you rather have? 1921 Cadillac or 1921 Apperson 8 or 1921 King. I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. On to the second scenario, 1916 Scripps Booth or 1916 Apperson or 1916 Cadillac. Once again, going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to give both the name of the band, song title, and the song lyric that comes next will have their comment pinned to the top of the comment section. Now she's gone, and I have to say... That's probably a super easy one. But anyway, thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the comment section below. I read and answer all comments posted. I don't say that for self-worth. I just say that if you take the time to post a comment on here, I will definitely read it, because this is way more than a car channel. This is a car community that I very much a part of. If you want to send me something more personable, send me an email at what_its_like at a lost and forgotten web provider, yahoo.com if interested. Thanks again for everything that you guys bring in the comment section. Until next time, funniest sound I ever heard, a papa hoo mama mama papa hoo mau mau. Well, I can't understand a single word. Toodaloo! If you're still here, welcome to the after show. I want to read this to you real fast because I think it's very interesting how Apperson treated their customers. The Apperson power plant mechanical details usually seem uninteresting and tiresome. Dry words put together weary the reader, and despite this, we believe all you have to tell you in detail about the Apperson chassis is important enough to be worth your reading, but then they don't tell you anything about it. It's almost like, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, but it's almost like Neil deGrasse Tyson explaining something. This engine is too complicated for the unintellect mind to fully grasp it. It's like Neil deGrasse Tyson 100 years ago built this engine. Just my opinion, but there's no information in the text. And at the same time, I've never saw an engine company, or I should say an automotive manufacturer company from this era, have a parts list like this. It's very interesting.